Welcome to Crush on This. Christine Campbell of Girls Go Grape in Vancouver, Canada, Allison Levine of Please the Palate in Los Angeles, and I, Cindy Reining from Grape Experiences in Chicago, are excited to talk about Grenache or garnacha today and share some of our delicious finds, which we hope you'll love too. Now, if you find yourself in a wine shop and need a red wine, I always say, look for a Grenache, and here's why. Grenache is one of the most widely planted grapes in the world. Grenache tends to be low in acidity, tannins, and color. Fabulous food pairing wine. It's used as the lead grape or the top grape in many full-bodied reds from France, Spain, the Italian islands, and California, among others. In fact, the wines of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Côte-du-Rhône, Priorat, Rioja, and Tavel all include Grenache. So although many consider France as the home of Grenache, it's actually Spanish in origin, where there it's called garnacha. And I know I'm kind of messing up that pronunciation, but I'm doing my best.
You did it perfectly.
Thank you. So when Grenache is at its best, it's pure, sensual, rich, and has gorgeous aromas and flavors of cherry preserves, something I love. So with its fresh red fruit dominant flavors, moderate acidity, and soft tannins, garnacha or Grenache appeals to a wide range of palates. So as a single varietal or even blended, it has the uncanny ability, like I said earlier, to pair with foods. So think paella, roasted meats, grilled cheese, one of my favorite sandwiches, beef stew, barbecued pork, flank steak, and as many tapas as you possibly can imagine. So what's not to love? So what are you loving, Christine? What's in your glass right now?
I traveled to France because I like France, and I love Grenache. I kept going back when I was there to Grenache blends. So in my glass, I am sipping on the gorgeous Gerard Bertrand Grand Terroir Totevelle. It is a Grenache dominant blend. So again, you know, hearkening back to what you just said, 50% Grenache, 30% Carignan, and then 20% Syrah, just to kind of lift it at the end. I met this stunning, charming, charismatic, tall Frenchman named Gerard Bertrand at the Vancouver International Wine Festival this year. Wow. And I had no idea who he was. I don't know, maybe I was living under a rock, but this, you know, I started talking French to him. He started talking French back. And people are like, what's going on? And I was like, who's that?
He's the king of the south of France, Christine.
I know. Oh my God. So good looking. Anyway, Grenache makes me feel a little sexy. So I'm doing kind of some black. I've got some bling. This is, you know, it's like Côte de Roussillon village, right? So we're talking the côte, like the very foothills of the Pyrenees Mountains. It's so stunning. He's passionate about his craft. It comes out because this is, I swear to God, it's like scrubland, it's spice, it's licorice, it's cooked fruit, it's black currant, everything. It's full. Let me just.
I'm in love.
I know. It's like, it's so sexy. This is a sexy wine. I hope that's okay to say, but it makes me feel like, yeah, life is good. Let's be vibrant. Let's share passions with each other. And I would pair this with grilled rabbit. I hope I don't offend anyone, but that was one of my French things that I adored there. And that would go really, really well. So that's me. And in my market, it's about $22. So certainly doesn't break the bank. Yeah.
Hey, Christine, I actually have one of his bottles right behind me. The clay one.
Oh.
So, you know.
That's great, Christine. Thanks. Allison, what are you drinking right now?
Well, knowing that Christine was going to France and you are going to Spain, I wanted to do a domestic one and went to Sonoma, and I picked the Tous Babor 2016 Grenache.
I've never had that one.
And it's really hard to get. I've been holding on to this for a little while, and I'm glad I have been. This is actually made by a winemaker named Cruz Bilbro. May not be familiar. He's a 5th generation in his family to make wine. He's also now 12 years old.
12 years old? Wow.
Starting them
older.
That's right, starting young.
His father is Jake Bilbrough, who's a fourth generation Sonoma resident and winemaker. His father was the winemaker Marietta Cellars, very famous.
Yes.
Jake got it in his blood. He grew up in the vineyards, ended up working with his dad for almost 2 decades. And then he and his wife bought a property called Limerick Lane, where they make award-winning Syrahs, Grenache, beautiful, exquisite wines. And that same passion he passed down to his son by no force of his own. But Cruz really wanted to make wine. And so he decided to go in there and Jake said to him, fine, you do it on your own. I'm not doing it for you. And Cruz selected Grenache from the property from Limerick Lane. And he worked with the crew every morning to pick the grapes. We go out before school. He worked the forklift, he measured the bricks, he did the temperatures, he did all of the punch downs. He was 10 years old, and he was guided by his father along each stage, but every decision was his own. Like when his dad asked, do you want to blend a little Syrah in there? He was like, no, I want my Grenache. So he created his own label, and what's so cute about it is at the time, he couldn't say his name, Cruz Bilbrough. He was Tuz Bilbabor. That's how he said his name. And because he's a John Deere fan, he drew this tractor and he made his own label. And then his dad said, okay, look, I could sell it to my mailing list and be done with it in a second. But instead he said that Cruz could sell his own wine and he could keep the first $100. He made 2 barrels of Grenache, and they had a little visitor to the winery, someone named Emerald Lagasse.
Oh my gosh, what a great story.
Emerald Lagasse gave him $100 and bought a barrel, and then invited Cruz to travel to New Orleans for his carnival, his Carnival du Vin that he does.
Right.
And it was a live auction item, and Cruz, each bottle of his wine sold for $2,500.
Oh, how many bottles did he sell at the auction?
Cases sold for $30,000 each.
Oh,
He made more money off of his barrel of wine than his father has ever made in his wonderful wines. And so I had written a story about this a couple years ago, and I've been holding on to this. And what's great is I had actually just spoke with Jake the other day, who said that Cruz still has the passion, but they don't push him. So he took a little break, but he's interested again. And I mean, he's talented, so hopefully this is something he'll stay.
what a great story. We're going to hear from him in a few years, even more.
It is, it's not too dark. It's a dark color, but it's not opaque in the least. It's got really kind of bright red and black fruits. I get a little bit that licorice that you guys were talking about. I get a little earthiness, a little dustiness. And I love it because it's got 4 years age on it, and it's still really fruity and bright, but it has all that earth and the layers. It's not a simplistic wine. I mean, I'm impressed by this kid. So I'm going to get on his mailing list really early.
I think you better. They're going to jack up the prices, Allison, really fast. Well, that's a great story. Thank you so much. I'll look for both of those wines. Well, as you know, I traveled virtually, well, in the glass, to Spain, and I opened a bottle of Monasterio de las Viñas Old Vine Garnacha 2016, and I opened it about an hour ago. So it's nice and opened up. It's from Cariñena, which is an area located northeast of Madrid and near the Aragon area. The wines of Cariñena are predominantly red, Garnacha, and Carignan. And that's how Cariñena kind of got its name, from the Carignan grape. The benchmarks of the great wine-making region, and it is kind of the epicenter in Spain for this variety. It includes older vines, native grapes, complex soils, higher elevations. All of that is right there in Cariñena, those really optimum aspects of what we want a good wine to have. But perhaps the most unique characteristic of the area is its ancient stone soil, which is layers of rock, mineral, and earth. And so the region's unofficial catchphrase is crafted in stone. And I actually have a couple of coasters that say crafted in stone. So when I have a Carignan, I will always put it on my glass on that coaster. So as you all know, the phylloxera destroyed much of Europe's vineyards in the 1800s, but it could not survive in the stony soil of this region. So the region was saved what many others just endured, which is the wiping out of so many vineyards. So these vineyards at high altitudes, moderate continental climate, and this great diurnal temperature swing really equal aromatics and structure. Plus the cold winds from the north regulate the vineyards and it keeps it free from pests and disease. Hailstone and drought are an issue, but I think all that said, it's a fabulous place to grow grapes. So the garnacha grapes in this wine are from vines over 40 years old, and they're cultivated in the terroir of these specific vineyards, the Gran Vinos vineyards. So I love this. Talk about sexy and sultry and rich, like we've all been saying. So cracked pepper notes.
Love the sexy tasting note.
Spices, ripe plums, cigar smoke, rugged leather, and then you've got this really bright acidity, but it's not overpowering, obviously, because it's moderate acidity. Firm tannins, yet they're soft. They're well integrated. I can absolutely see, putting a steak on the grill. Honestly, I don't smoke a cigar, but I might consider that. It may not be the sexy look I'm going for, or whatever, however you know it. I might just think about it. So that's my choice, and I really, those old vine garnaches are really something to look for. And it was only $18 for something just unique, individual, very special. So, well, thank you everyone for joining today's episode of Crush on This. Let us know your favorite Grenache or garnacha in the comments, and please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. So anyway, we'll see you next week on Crush on This.
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.